Right, back here on the Newsfeed PM. Looking ahead now to the World Economic Forum. Happens every year in Davos in Switzerland. There's huge optimism between business and government leaders who make up South Africa's delegation to the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. And this, of course, happens throughout the week. The country's delegation says the WEF theme of collaboration in intelligent age speaks not only of what nations must do, but what must also happen here at home. We're joined now by Newzroom Afrika's business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa, to tell us what to expect this year and why this gathering is important, particularly for South Africa. But good to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Taff.
Anybody who knows that you've been to WEF at least 3 times, because when you come back, you tell us exactly what happens at WEF, and one listening to you would either want to start saving up, because the first thing that you tell us is very expensive there, but the machinery there also works. It's cold, but there's a lot that happens. Tell us a little bit, paint a picture of what we expected at the World Economic Forum.
This is one of the most important gatherings for world leaders and those who are business leaders. When you speak to government leaders, whatever government wants to do, they need to sell themselves and say that we are open for business, and you need to sell yourselves to all the people that are there. The big corporations are there, people who collectively employ hundreds of millions of people around the world. And when you speak to CEOs on the other side, they'll tell you that I need to be here because I have 6 months worth of meetings in 1 week. If I come here, everybody that I need to clinch deals with is right here for 1 week. Instead of flying and connecting to different countries, everybody is there. It's been so interesting that I've met people in 2022. My colleague and I, we are taking a train and we are seeing this Indian gentleman hauling his luggage, and he's got a bottle of whiskey on one side, looking under the weather. We are saying to him, listen, you are going to be arrested for public drinking. He laughs at us. He says, no, there's no such a thing here. It's allowed. It's just that people don't do it. He is happy that he was happy at the time that on the first day, which was the first day, he clinched a $400 million deal for his company, which makes train coaches to actually make those for the next 4 years. And he said, I've reassured the future of my employees and the growth of my business on day one. There are so many others that we've met who have similar stories to tell about how they have been elevated by just one meeting there. But it's also an opportunity for the world to discuss issues such as geopolitical tensions, and as we saw with the Middle East. For the past 2 years, it has been at the top of the agenda. And what is happening today, the release of the hostages, which we are also carrying on Newzroom Afrika this afternoon, is also going to be a talking point, because going there, it's really, really important to talk about the issues that are affecting the world, such as this, and how they will shape the fiber of society and the decisions that are made. It's quite important that this is happening just before the start of WEF, and it's going to change how the deliberations take place. There's going to be renewed optimism about the world peace, and now the attention hopefully could change to other conflicts such as the ones in Sudan. So there's a lot that happens in this week, and it's quite an important one to be there for any country so that you sell yourselves.
I'm sure South Africa would also like to clinch on the first night of being at Davos something close to $400 million or even more. But I'm saying that because Godongwana says we need to go there representing a unified message, right, about the country. What does South Africa take? What are some of the misconceptions that they have to address? I mean, you're talking of the Middle East. South Africa, of course, are the ones who brought the case against Israel of genocide. How that is going to be read at Davos, and how are we advancing our collective priorities?
That one is a very interesting one because we went to the International Court of Justice to present a case against Israel, and this has been a lot to do with how South Africa, which posture South Africa took, and the global leaders have been looking at South Africa and saying you are taking a side, and it's been quite good to see South Africa standing its ground on an international stage and saying, no, what is happening there is akin to apartheid. We don't agree with it. It's something that the world needs to deal with. We are here today partly because of the stance that South Africa took. When the lead of Team South Africa in Kotongwana says what he says about a unified message for South Africa, that is the unified message that is being taken by the ministers with the president and the business community. B20, which is the corporate side of the G20, is actually going there, led by Casco Vadia and Nonkululeko Nyembezi Heita. It's for South Africa to go to this world stage. Do
they go there and bury the head about the fact that they're upset with the president of the Bella Act and there's still disagreement on NHI? Do they bury all that and say South Africa is working?
You have to. Those are internal matters, by the way. Those are internal matters, and from what you will hear from different ministers, they are not big enough to collapse the GNU, not at all. It will take something much bigger for the GNU to collapse or there to be fissures in the GNU so that there are that much cracks. But taking a unified message about South Africa, number one, we are expecting a higher economic growth this year. Yes, unemployment is still high. And number three, we seem to have dealt with this load shedding. There is no load shedding that we've had for the past 280 days, which was a key feature with everybody asking about the power cuts and the high spate of power cuts. Now we can go there and say, no, we are dealing with those. It's not behind us yet, but 280 days of constant power supply bodes well for us as a country when we place our country on the map and say this is the most industrialized economy on the African continent. You can trust us with your investment. That is what is important, a unified message. Now, when business goes to the World Economic Forum and they do their meetings, they are being asked about things that are the purview of government. Same when government has meetings with other political leaders, they are being asked about what business does. So you need to speak in one voice in order to grow our economy, increase the investments, and deal with the high unemployment rate. The other questions that will be asked are the high crime rate and the visa regime, which has got some countries really unhappy. But you need to deal with those structural reforms, and we have been dealing with them, allowing, for example, private companies to generate their own electricity, and dealing with the issue of crime at a certain level and load shedding being a top issue. We can go there, chest beat, and say that we are dealing with this issue. So it's quite an important one for South Africa to take a unified message together with business, so the world knows that South Africa is here and it means business, particularly, Thabo, because we are the first African country and the only one to actually have the presidency of the G20 heading to the World Economic Forum. It's happening here in South Africa. We are only the fourth country in the developed world, in the developing world, to actually host the G20. That speaks volumes about our capability as a country, and we shouldn't downplay that.
You always come back with great gems there. Not even come back, you send them to us when you're there. And I remember the last time you spoke to a gentleman, particularly in renewable energies and the opportunities that are there. So we look forward to seeing your reporting coming from there. That is Newzroom Afrika's business editor there, Xolani Mbanjwa, heading to the World Economic Forum. And